Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Sean ustedes bienvenidos a la entrevista. Hace algunos días empezamos una conversación con un náufrago rescatado por un barco atunero mexicano. El náufrago australiano es Timothy Shaddock. La historia es realmente maravillosa y es una historia que me parece tiene muchas moralejas, muchas enseñanzas para todos los que las hemos escuchado. Vamos a continuar esta conversación, la vamos a continuar en idioma inglés para que pueda usted escuchar directamente a Tim narrar su historia. Tim, thank you very much for continuing this story, which is really fascinating. You've told us more or less, sketchy, but more or less what happened at sea. I want to know, how did you end up in Mexico? What were you doing in Mexico? What were you working in before? How did you end up living in a boat in the coast of Mexico?
Yeah, it's a good question. I definitely did not plan this trip to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
The world changed so quickly. I was working on computer
Mm-hmm.
and traveling a lot, and suddenly the world stopped,
Mm-hmm.
and I had nowhere to go.
Is this during the pandemic?
See,
Is that when the world stopped?
the world, yeah, it stopped in terms of
Where
normal
were you
travel.
living at that time?
Alabama, USA,
Okay.
and
Were you working there?
I kind of. I worked as on computer,
Mm-hmm.
and my intention was to go back to Australia. I was just on tourist visa,
Mm-hmm.
and they said no. The U.S. government said I must leave,
Okay.
and the Australian government said I cannot stay.
Oh dear. I remember that they had very strict rules about people coming in from other countries. Am I right?
Yes, that's
And
precisely.
that's when you decided to go to Mexico. So it was. Fortunately, Mexico always kept its doors open.
Yes, I was welcomed into Mexico. I was so grateful because it was a place of peace and quiet for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to just live quietly in the mountains of San Miguel de Allende for a short period.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I decided to keep moving to the coast.
Okay.
And so it wasn't a plan.
No. Did you like Mexico? Did you stay because you liked it, or because they didn't let you in Australia?
Well, initially I had no choice, but then I was grateful to be here when I did have a choice. I did not want to go back yet, and that's when I decided to move onto a boat and live on a boat.
So you bought the boat, and you actually lived there for how long?
I lived on the boat for 2 years.
For 2 years.
See, I had a lot of work to do.
Okay. When did Bella, the dog, arrive?
In San Miguel de Allende, in the mountains. Yeah, she was a mountain dog.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to find her a home, but she had other ideas.
She liked you?
She liked me. I think so. She kept coming back.
Did you name her Bella?
I did. I named her Bella. She was a very beautiful animal, a very strong animal, and she just seemed to want to look after me.
Okay.
So that was how she.
Where is Bella now?
Oh, she is with a crew member of the boat. She's being very well looked after.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. You were telling me in the previous program that there was an angel called Andrés Zamorano, who spotted you from a helicopter. They were looking for tuna. They found you. What happened then?
It was quite interesting because at the time I just decided I needed to be saved. And suddenly Bella could hear the helicopter.
Okay.
And I came around the boat, and he circled for some time, but he must travel. Every time a helicopter leaves a fishing vessel with big waves, you're risking your life.
Sure.
And I knew this, and he was circling for some time using fuel, staying close to the swell. And then he threw down some drinking water.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Must have been very welcome.
It was very welcome. And I drank that probably too quickly just to show him that I needed it.
There's always the risk of actually losing the balance in your body. Am I right?
Yes, yeah. It's
decompensation. Is that what they call it? Yeah.
See.
Well, then the helicopter left, and did a boat come, or what happened then?
The helicopter left, and then the helicopter came back again.
Okay.
And then left again.
Okay.
He was trying to signal. I tried to hail on the radio, but I was on the wrong channel.
Okay.
And I didn't know whether the helicopter would say, "Hey, this guy needs rescuing." Or
Did
not.
you wave or something to say that you needed
Yeah,
help?
I waved, but a lot was lost in translation.
Oh, I imagine. If it's difficult with language, it must. With sign language, it must be more difficult. What happened then? Was there a boat coming, or what happened?
Yes. So the next time, Andreas went back to the boat and came back with a speedboat, a smaller boat, and the tuna fishing vessel behind.
Okay.
Quite quickly towards me.
Mm-hmm. I was told by some executives of the company of Grupo Mar that it's not that easy to rescue a shipwreck because you have to tell. First of all, you have to make sure that people aren't carrying drugs and weapons, and you also have to make sure that whether the person has the proper papers or not. They have called migration. Were you aware of all of those things that were happening or that happened?
Yeah, I was concerned. It was not clear to me who these people were that were helping me, and I could see that they were going through a process and asking very hard questions.
Okay.
So there was a lot of tension there.
They wanted to make sure that you weren't a drug dealer or a drug trafficker.
Yes, see. So they asked me, "Do you have any drugs or weapons?" And I say, "Hey, look, I have fishing equipment. I haven't had drugs, and
I hardly have any water."
Exactly. Exactly.
Then you got into the. Did the speedboat take you to the big ship, or was it, or did you? Okay.
Yeah, the speedboat took me to the big ship, and it was already approaching us, and it was incredible. The crew were risking. That was another thing. I was worried that if I did not take this rescue, I could risk more lives, to help me and my dog.
Yeah.
And I did not want anyone to have to, leave that ship again on a risky,
I understand the ship was actually fishing. That's what fishing boats do. They left whatever bank of fish were working on, and they went to rescue. But I understand they found another one on the way back. Did you know that?
I did, yeah, I did. They said, "Look."
That's called karma. That's called.
See, it was amazing how much fish
so they actually managed to fill the whole boat.
They filled the whole boat with fish, and it was an amazing thing to be a part of. See, it was just beautiful. To be on board and see this catch.
And then you went back to Mexico, and where did you arrive? Where was the port that you set foot on?
So yeah, we took us quite a long time to go back to Mexico, and Manzanillo was the port we went back to.
I understand the owner of the company was there to welcome you. He was Don Antonio Suarez, who's a legend in Mexico's fishing industry.
Wow, I believe that. His presence there was extraordinary, and my world had changed so much. You could imagine being solo at sea, alone for many months at sea, and then suddenly to be in the presence of so many brave men, with so much attention on me. I was so quiet and tranquilo at sea, and suddenly there was so much people were giving me. And it was such an extraordinary feeling.
What did you learn, Tim? What did you learn this experience? Is there any lesson? Do you think that There were some life lessons in the experience.
Yeah, so to go through such a miracle, you cannot like even fathom how it could possibly happen.
Mhm.
You could be healed and saved with such incredible odds against me. My risks were so high, and to be helped by people who just were so brave and did it out of love.
I understand that if they hadn't found you, I mean, there was no way you would have survived.
No way I could have survived the hurricane. No.
So the hurricane was coming, by the way, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know it was still on the way.
It was still on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Bella? Was she a support, an emotional support for you?
Yeah, she's a great emotional support. I had a sense of guilt about how she was doing, but she was stronger than me the whole time. She seemed to know. She was absolutely confident. She took everything in her stride. Yeah.
There was a point when you said, okay, this is it. I'm going to lie down and die.
See.
There was.
There
Tell me
was.
about it.
There is a point where you take a breath. And for me, that one breath, you hold your breath and you say a prayer. For me, it's...
You're a religious person?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I'm a very spiritual person.
Okay.
It does embrace this religion. And
can I ask how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 54.
54, okay.
And I took this breath, and the way it's like a breath of life, and you go to the womb of the Mother Earth. We're born into salt water in the womb of the mother, and with one breath, you let this breath go, and your life force comes back to you. There is no pain. There is just the life energy, and it's a very lovely feeling. You want it to keep going. But this breath took me all the way back up to the boat. And
was it how long before you were actually spotted when this happened?
It was not very long after I did this dive that it happened. It's hard to tell. I came back onto the catamaran. I was lying down for a while. I went back inside, and then Bella could hear the helicopter with her ears much quicker. And every movement on the boat was tough because the boat was swaying so much. It was so much effort, and I was crawling out of the boat. And that's my lesson. That is my lesson. It's impossible odds. It is just, and to be saved by people who were so generous. I mean, obviously, you're sitting here with me saying, hey, this man has been looked after. You know, I'm talking to you, to many people. That humbles you so much. These things do not happen unless you've given your life to this, and it's granted back to you.
Would you go back to sea?
See, yeah,
Yes.
I would go back. Only if I was not to risk any other lives.
You won't try to cross the Pacific again?
No, I would not try that. I'm done with the Pacific.
How about Manzanillo to La Paz?
Manzanillo to La Paz.
That's
now you're
right.
talking. Yeah, maybe Mazatlan.
Okay.
Yeah, on the coast, Cortez. See.
All right. Well, Timothy Shaddock, thank you very much for this conversation. Thank you very much for sharing this story. I know there are a lot of people who might actually learn something just as you've learned something. I think this is one of the reasons why these things happen, so that we can learn a little bit from each other.
It's so true. Muchas gracias.
Gracias a ti, Timothy. Y a usted, amigo, que al vernos y escucharnos hace posible este programa, se lo agradezco también. Esto es todo por hoy, pero no se lo olvide. Nos vemos la próxima.